Welcome back to another episode of The Wedding Visionary. Today will be a little different. I have the honor of chatting with Amber and Gabby, owners of Banks and Leaf. And today we're chatting about brand personality and challenges that have molded our careers. Thank you so much, Amber and Gabby, for being on the podcast. Please introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your brand.
I am Amber of Banks and Leaf. I'm the Banks of Banks and Leaf.
I'm Gabby, and I'm the Leaf of Banks and Leaf.
Awesome. I love that. Tell us a little bit about your brand. Your branding shoots have become a signature part of your business. How did that idea first come about?
I think that idea really just came about as any new business. When we started our business, we needed to get new headshots, right? We had to separate ourselves from a planning company that we had worked at. For those that don't know, that's how we met. We met at a planning company. And I think the good thing about that was we were established in the industry, but not as this new company that we were starting. So we had to reestablish that with a photo shoot. And the first few, I think, took, some time to figure out our direction, because they started off pretty safe and just, getting new headshots. We got new ones every year. I actually don't know why we did that to start out. Like, we just would keep getting them every year. And then I think we started to learn that the shoots were a way that we could speak to our clients, to other vendors, about what was inspiring us, what we were seeing our brides asking us for. So like our first one that I think we really dabbled in was in Austin. And we were doing a wedding there, and we decided to do some photos, and we got very like boho. It was like during the boho time, right? That sounds about right. Yeah. And we went around Austin, and we were wearing like all the layers and the patterns, and I think you had a hat on maybe in some of them, and they were really fun and different. And then we just kept evolving with those to show our personalities, because the wedding industry is always evolving, right?
Yes,
so every
absolutely.
year it's different. There's a new trend, there's a new look, something that was cool is no longer cool. So we kind of felt like that's how our shoots needed to be, is ever evolving, always changing with what was current at the time.
And we also, I don't think, realized how much fun other people were getting from them. We knew how much fun we were having. There was one where we were like a Lady and the Tramp with a piece of spaghetti between us. And we were just cracking up, because that's like who we are. And I think after some of those funner ones, we realized that a lot of other people were having a ton of fun with these too, with like the product that we were showing. And like also like showing our personalities, that we're like not always serious, and we can be Lady and the Tramp with the spaghetti if we want to. So they just kind of continued to get like more fun, and we thought about them more. When we realized that more people were getting a benefit from them, then we put more thought into them as well, so that we could always like make it better or make it cooler. Or we're always inspired by fashion. So anytime there's like a fashion moment, is that a moment for us too? So
I love that you both are saying that it's ever evolving in the wedding industry, because it's true. I mean, trends do come and go, but also with branding, things change, right? As you see, one minute you see your business as, wearing a suit and tie with a computer, and the next, you're looking at like being free, loving art, and not being pigeonholed into one little sector of the wedding industry. So it's very beautiful to see how your brand has evolved, but also that you both just love showing up as yourselves, and you bring fashion into it. And I love that. I think we've had a chat. I don't remember when this was, but we had a chat about it. And I'm like, you guys are very, very different from anyone else that I know, especially in Colorado. And I love that, because everyone knows who Banks and Leaf is. And it's really awesome that you both just took that idea and ran with it, and also you molded yourselves into it. And that leads me to ask, what advice would you give a business that wants to create more intentional branding and content, but doesn't know where to start?
I think it comes back to pulling your personalities into what you're doing. And I think that depends on what you're selling, right? For us, I feel like we're selling ourselves in a lot of ways. We don't have florals or photography or something that we can put our stamp on. It's more what we can give to our clients or even our vendor teams that's maybe more unique or different, or they can relate to. And so in our case, we're the product. in a lot of ways. And so that's why these shoots are such a reflection of us. And so for other businesses, I feel like you have to just be a little more real, with whatever you're trying to showcase. And if sometimes that means you are in the suit and laptop, cool, but like you're not like that all the time. And it's not to say that you're always silly and goofy, like, but you have another side. Maybe you're really into fashion. Maybe you travel a lot. Maybe you like to curl up with a book and read all the time. Something should be obvious to the people looking at your content of who this person is so that they can feel like they relate to you.
Yeah, social media is so perfect and it's curated and it's all intentional. But I think sometimes what we've seen that we have had the most engagement with is stuff that is silly and real and vulnerable. We've made mistakes like everybody has. So I think showing that side of any company is really valuable.
So I did a branding shoot earlier this year because I'm changing my website. And I don't know where I was in my headspace. I will just say that. And I was talking to one of my friends and I was like, it's kind of giving cottage core. And I don't think I want that. Like, I want something that says she loves fashion, she loves art, she loves what she does. And so I'm actually redoing my shoot because I'm like, I want to just show a little bit more of my side of like, I like avant-garde with a mix of refinement. Like, I love that. And so and what inspired that even more was the Met Gala. I cannot wait until the Met Gala happens.
Cannot wait for my God.
I want to see, right? Like, I want to see how it's going to, right. But with like Law Roach, like his process into introducing the, black fine tailoring, he did such a superb job, especially with Tyler Mitchell, who is the photographer that took all the photos. And so that inspired me to be like, can I do that for my brand? Can I do a shoot like that shows that's exactly who I am? And as well, that's the type of people that I want to photograph. People who do love fine tailoring, but also like to get offline and do whatever they want, pop in, pop out type of individual. And so, needless to say, I'll be doing my brand shoot over again. There's nothing wrong with my there's nothing wrong with my cottage core outfit. Look, I loved it, but I think I just like had a moment of like, yeah, no, that's done. I'm done with that part of me. It's like, closing a chapter and opening something new. And I love it. I mean, honestly, I spent money on it, but like I love it because I can see myself changing in real time. So it's
And I
really
think that's the
ahead.
thing about your brand too, is one shoot does not have to define your brand forever. And that's why we probably get them so often, is because what we were into during the time of that shoot, we probably are no longer inspired by 6 months later, which is crazy to think about, but that's how this world is. The fashion changes, the season changes. We were wearing pink on pink on pink in one shoot. The next year, that was like, we wanted the opposite of that. We wanted plaids and refinement and Ralph Lauren and not silly pink and bubbly. Like it's just ever evolving all the time. And with your brand, I think sometimes you can really feel like you need to know it all and lock it in, and then that's what you're stuck to. And feeling kind of free to continue to evolve all the time in your shoots or how you want to present your company, I think is a freedom that people don't realize that they have.
Absolutely. I think we always box ourselves into what society wants, especially in the wedding industry, because obviously we have people who can influence. But once it catches fire, I feel like once it catches fire in the industry, everyone just takes off and runs with the same thing. And so we look the same, right? We are doing the same and looking the same. And so it's imperative to be different and do things differently, especially when you find yourself in the things that you do and the service that you provide, but also as a person. You just want to show up as yourself, sometimes whether it be scary, funny, or like they just don't know that's who you are. But a branding shoot, I feel, should really show people who you are. And that segues me into asking you this other question. How do you balance staying true to your brand personality while also evolving your shoots creatively over time?
It's a great question. And I think that in the end, we still always want to hold like a core value, no matter what the shoot is or what the inspiration is, which is we're speaking to, the luxury market. We're still speaking to like vendors in the luxury market and very focused on community too. And so a lot of our messaging, even behind whatever the image is still focused on, the teams behind what we do on our day to day at our weddings, the value that our clients bring to us throughout the process that we appreciate. So I think if you always kind of know where your core values are, no matter what you put out there, as long as that's at your root, then that can always hold true no matter what the image says. We can always steer the direction of our messaging. And I think our shoots just can play off of that and always go back to like what is important to our company, which is, on the vendor side, it's always making sure that everyone feels welcome and part of the team and valued. And so that's like always going to be what is at its center of each shoot, is that we come back to even the people that we're using at our shoots are people that we value and people that we highly respect. So that's always going to be what steers us.
Yeah, something that hasn't changed in 10 years is our actual logo. Our logo has not changed. We know lots of people that spend lots of money to refresh all of that. And that's not where we find the value. We find the value in keeping our personalities front and center. Amber was talking about the vendors that we love, and that is something that is really important to us. I'll tell you a story and we can keep it in here or not, but like right before COVID, it never happened, but we wanted to expand our brand shoot to our favorite woman-owned companies in this industry.
What you were going to talk about.
Yep. And we created this really awesome shoot, and we invited all these women owners, probably 30 of them. And we had asked them to bring an inspirational quote that's helped set their business on track or something that resonated with them. It literally was like scheduled for March 15th. So it didn't ever happen of 2020. But that is where we would love to take these to. We know that other companies could potentially benefit from doing a similar thing to this. And we wanted to share that excitement with this crew of people, this crew of amazing women. So it is less about the logo and the brand per se, and more about the people with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And it should be like that for a lot of people in the industry. I think branding, like logos versus, changing your website and stuff like that, doesn't need to always happen, obviously. But I think for me, I'll speak for myself. I'm a person that always changes, and not with the time, but mostly like inner self. Like sometimes I like quiet and I like, Riverside of Italy or whatever it is. But there's other times where I just want to be a little boastful, or I want to just show things that I like, fashion, or talk about whatever it is that is happening in the world when it comes to trends. But there's two different sides of me, and I like to blend those both in my brand. And so it doesn't have to be a logo, it doesn't have to be a website, it can just be me personally just showing up doing a photo shoot that speaks to me and can speak to other people as well. And so I really love, I can't say this a lot, but I really love how you both positioned yourself in the industry when it comes to just showing your personality. And I look at your photos, I'm like, okay, they're cool, they're awesome, because no one is doing that in the industry. Everyone's just chasing the same thing. And I just like how you both just come with different things. And right now, no one's really doing it in Colorado. I mean, everyone's dressing up, but not for themselves. It feels like it's more for like what the times is giving them.
Our last shoot, we were in a bathtub, so we'll do anything.
Wait, hold on. The bathtub was chic, okay? It wasn't like an ordinary like tub, polyester tub. It was a cool tub, and the wallpaper is awesome. If
it
listeners
was a very cool spot for sure, but we did just crawl in the bathtub and go for it. So, and
well, no one would know. Like, I honestly, like, I saw the photo and it's awesome. So, listeners, you guys have a job. Go look for this photo on their Instagram. You can see it on their profile as well. But I think it's awesome. It's so cool that was it a studio or was it like an Airbnb?
It's a house. It's an Airbnb that rents out they do shoots and stuff there, but it looks locked in time, 1970.
Yeah, after that they provided fake cigarettes and we decided that we have one here. Just kidding.
No.
But like
but they're in our photos.
Yeah, like we should walk around with them because they certainly make us look really cool.
We felt so cool with these cigarettes and like 19 with our clothes. Like it was very fun.
It was fun.
Yeah, I know. It was really, really good. I thought it was awesome. And then you guys had an amazing photographer take your photos. And so, like, it just all worked out in the sense of, like, community. You're bringing in someone that you guys know and trust that can execute the job. And so now we're going to get into the nitty gritty. We're going to talk about challenges in the business. Because obviously, branding is just like the exterior, right? Like, the photos are the exterior. Personality is the interior and exterior, but there's more to the wedding, especially when you're trying to mold your businesses and career, right? And so I want to start off by asking, how do you prepare now for weddings to minimize anything unexpected? And I know obviously the wedding industry or weddings in general, there's always something unexpected. We can plan for it, but we have to plan like A, B, C, D, E, F, G type of options, right? And so what system or habits came out of those experiences in the past?
Well, like I mentioned before, we came from another planning company and we worked there for a long time. I was there like 6 years. Gabby was there for like 8 years. So it's very easy when you work for someone else to get very accustomed to how you were doing things. You kind of forget that you can change and you just think, oh, this is what you do. This is how you do it. And when we started our own company, we just naturally started to continue doing what we had been doing for years and years. But when we started our own company, we didn't want to do the same kinds of weddings. We were wanting to step into the luxury market. We really loved being involved in design. And so we wanted those couples that were excited about that and that wanted us to be involved in design. So we were evolving into that, but our brains didn't know how to evolve into that right away. That was something that we had to learn. We didn't mentor under someone that was always doing luxury weddings. We didn't, I feel like there was just things that we didn't know at first when we stepped into that world that I think all of us in this industry have had to figure out as we go. And so there was definitely some first weddings when we started that we were like, this is what we want. This is what we were striving for, but then realized, oh, but like we're still doing things the old way. And these are not the same weddings and these are not the same clients. And so that was like I think our biggest hurdle when we first started was how do we evolve from what we've been doing that it's like how you get in a routine and you just don't know how to break it. We, for a while, didn't realize we had to evolve to this next level with our clientele. And so there was things that we were doing that now we look back and we're like, so frustrating. And like some of it, the biggest thing I think was this world is such a multi-tiered production process with weddings where you don't just show up on wedding day and like set things up. We start on Tuesday or Wednesday and there's production that starts those days. And then there's more production and then there's more production before we even get to the wedding day. And we kind of are like, okay, we'll see you on wedding day, and the other vendors will be producing. And because that's what we always did. And that doesn't go well when you have luxury clients. We had some issues happen because we weren't there and we didn't think we were supposed to be there. It was like, oh, that vendor is taking care of that, or that vendor is taking care of that. So we'll get there when our job starts. Well, our job started 6 months before production even started on production. So we realized really quick how much our job wasn't just planning and designing, but it was also so much more overseeing of the whole production than we had done in the past.
It didn't take a lot of weddings. It took one wedding for us to be like,
whoops,
let's do this the right way forevermore. And we'll talk about that, how the learning lessons that we got from that wedding shaped us for sure.
Yeah, it only takes one wedding for you to be like, I don't think we're doing this anymore.
That wasn't right. It wasn't right. Yeah. And it took, we didn't think at first that we had done anything wrong because the wedding was beautiful. It went off without a hitch. Everything was great, but there was definitely some tension and unhappiness and things that we didn't quite grasp. Like, what was the problem? And everything went well. And it's because we had to step up to the level that we were at, which was, we are directing every single step of this production, and it should never be anyone else. We're the ones that are at this core right now of all the different pieces that are happening. And if we're not there from the time it starts until the time it ends, and if anything falls through the cracks, that's on us. And we have to be there for it. So we learned real quick.
I love working with you both because you guys are on top of it. Like, you guys know exactly how to do what it needs to be done, but also you can be hands off and like, just, okay, it's going to be completed and done the way it needs to be done because we've already did what we need, right? We already executed everything behind the scenes. My evolution of evolving, I guess, is knowing that planners are all different. And I can't expect, Banks and Leaf from someone who's just starting in the industry. We can't expect one person or one personality from everyone.
Totally.
And so,
It's kind of a weird world, this wedding world, right? Where
yes.
when I was in college, there wasn't even a degree you can get to be a wedding planner or a photographer or any. I know there are now. But so I imagine at some point there will be more standardization in how weddings are contracted and the process for running a wedding and the day of, and like kind of there will be something a little more standardized across the board. But right now we're definitely in the Wild West of like, it's a lot of, I think if I were a bride and I were looking for a vendor, it would not be somebody who has a degree in that. It would be somebody who has 10 or 15 years of experience in that, because that tells me they know what to do when the 10 things go wrong on the wedding day that we're already expecting to have happen, and not maybe the 3 ones we didn't even expect, but like at least they have the experience to deal with them.
And note, another on the other side, so that was how we had some shortcomings, but we've also experienced wedding days where we stepped into a role where maybe the efforts weren't as strong to make sure the vendor team was who we thought should be there. It was, maybe they were trying to save money in an area or use someone that someone told them about. And so that's who they booked. And there was a wedding that it was during the ceremony, which there was a lot of other things just falling apart during all of this, but
including her dress
and her bouquet was in pieces. So, like, when I say falling apart, I mean it literally like things were just unraveling. But while this was all happening and we were trying to problem shoot that, and one of our assistants sent every cuss word that she knew in a text thread, and I was like, what? And a chandelier had fallen from the ceiling. Big wrought iron chandelier had fallen from the ceiling and had hit the head table. Luckily, we were still in like ceremony time. Had that happened 2 hours later, it would have been while people are eating dinner on their heads, right? So we had to run in there, like there was glass everywhere. We had to call the company to come back, re-rig it. Terrifying, right? Just like a terrifying thing to happen. And it solidifies for us why we always have to make sure that people are taking our advice on who they should hire. And I get that sometimes you are really trying to cut costs somewhere, or you really want to use who your friend used for something, but we are not pushing people because we're trying to play favorites of vendors, or we are wanting you just to spend money just for fun. There's a reason sometimes that we are like, no, really, like this is the direction you should go, or this is the direction you should go, because we've seen it all. And in our years prior, we've seen the catastrophes happen and we don't want them to happen again. And your vendor team is everything. If you're not, and we're the ones trying to make sure that that vendor team is solid. And so that was something early on. We also learned that we really have to push for those vendors to get hired that we know are going to execute and not, let a chandelier fall on your head.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm glad that didn't happen. Like no one got squished by a chandelier. But you're very, very right about that. I mean, even as a photographer myself, I have to hire second shooters and other like third shooters or assistants. And it's very, very important to have a good team with you. The reason why I say this is because there could be someone who's, I mean, obviously there's nothing wrong with being ambitious, but there's second shooters that will be overly ambitious. I mean, and it's your brand too. So you have to be attentive of being like, hey, I need you to do X, Y, and Z, like giving them the lay of the land versus them run free. We have to be very strategic and thoughtful of, I need a team to show up the way I need them to show up. I don't need you to do the same thing I'm doing. I want you to do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to do my artistic X, Y, and Z while you do this part at this time. Like there's a plan for everything. And it's so, so imperative for photographers to understand your second shooter is an extension of you. Yes, I understand like there's times where you're like, okay, as long as I have a second body to take photos, great. But when you level up in this industry, it's more than that. It is community. It is you get me, I get you. We're going to knock this out of the park, especially when, let's say, the wedding isn't going the way you thought. It isn't as fabulous as you thought. At least you can walk in there knowing you have an A team and you can still walk away just pleasing that client or creating art for that client that they thought was amazing. Whatever it is, your team is an extension of you. And I absolutely understand, like, as planners, you guys have to find more than a second shooter or a second person. You have to find different array of people, different personalities in different fields, people that can put up a tent right, or, flooring on the ground, or a chandelier. Like, you guys have more things to do. And so it's very, I call it beautiful because I know the behind the scenes and I've seen the behind the scenes. But for people who have never seen what it takes to actually pull off a production filled wedding, it's a lot of moving parts, but it's beautiful when it comes together because you're all in it together and you're helping each other, no matter even if you're not even in the field. Like you're like, okay, how can I help you to get this done? Like, how can we move quickly to be able to get what everyone needs at the same token?
Well, that you're spot on about that because if we have a vendor that we think their work is great, but they were not a team player on the wedding day, bye. Like
Yes.
that's when we will play favorites. We will not keep referring someone that can't get out of their bubble, that I'm here for just my job and this one thing, and anything that happens around me is not my problem. Like that's not the mindset that we're looking for. And so we will go around that vendor and try to find someone else that is a team player that wants to be here to help, even if it's not their job, because most things we're doing on wedding day are not our job either. Like, I don't think it's our job to like take trash out sometimes or fish things out of water that like we've done weird things and we just do it to make it happen, right? Just to make the wedding be what the client wanted it to be. And it doesn't matter whose job it is. And so that's huge for us too, is a team has to not just be, oh, you're going to do good work. It's also that you're there knowing we're not just there as Banks and Leaf. We are there as like this wedding team, and we're all in it together, rain or shine, chandeliers falling or not. Like we're all here to help each other, and that's huge for us.
Yeah, and it's once in a lifetime for that client. Also, we have to take ourselves out of the moment of like serving ourselves. I mean, I don't know when this was, I'm just guessing, but maybe I can say it's when the light and airy trend became a thing. But people were very self-serving. Everyone wanted the curated photo of the girl with the bouquet positioned perfectly with the book, whatever aspect of aperture in the background. And I realized, obviously a lot of people realized a lot of these things were self-serving because everything had to be perfect. And so I'm kind of thankful that like this whole documentary style is coming in, because people love the, raw and emotional parts of things. But that era still bleeds into some people. And I'm speaking from a photographer standpoint of what I've seen from photographers, is that it's very self-serving. And so when looking for second shooters and trying to make sure that not only their work is good, but their personality, in terms of, can you work very quickly when it hits the fan? Like, if I'm across 3 acres, can you jet 3 acres to go get the ceremony or whatever it is? Things can happen. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. Like, I need you to be on your A game for that. And so I have 3 girls on rotation, and they have their own businesses. And so it's funny because I was just talking to one, Emma. I think you guys know Emma, but Emma, she is my girl. We travel a lot together. And I was just talking to her. I was like, I have this amazing wedding coming up, and I can't believe you're not going to be with me, because she gets me and I get her. And we know, like, we've been in weddings where it was like 104 degrees in San Francisco, in the middle of, I think it was in Sonoma, actually, in the middle of mountains, no trees covering us. And she got, I can't remember what it was, but she was throwing up, needless to say, because it was really hot. And I don't think she was drinking water. Let's just put it that way. I was like, heat stroke, or like yeah, something like that.
Stroke.
She wasn't, on the ground, but she was like running back and forth. And I didn't notice until we went to the cocktail hour, and like she looked pale. And I was like, are you okay? And she was like, oh yeah, I just threw up behind a bush. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, wait, hold on. Time out. You should have told me that. She was like, well, I didn't. She's like, everything was just like back to back. I didn't want to say anything. Like, obviously I'm not going to tell you to croak and die for a wedding, but she was just like, she's always on point.
What needed to be done. Like,
right.
She to be throwing up. So she just took care of it.
She took it like a champ. And obviously I had a chat with her after. I was like, if you're sick, please let me know, because I don't want you dying on me. Like, we're in a different place.
After the wedding's over and there's time to talk about it. That's just the way it is sometimes.
And that's like, because it was so fast paced that day, she's like, I didn't even have a moment. She was like, there was no moment for me to be like, hey, any of that, because I saw everything moving so quickly. And it's so amazing to have a community and people like that around me. And when I see someone like Emma, or just anywhere close, I hold on to them. I'm like, look, we're going to be in this together, ride or die. Like, I will pay whatever it is to have you. My clients will see that we showed up, superb, A team, ready to go, but also ready to help, no matter what it is, lining up a chair or moving a plate, whatever it is, we'll do it. And so that's just not a heed, but like just a little inspiration there for photographers that are listening. Your second shooter is your extension. It's time to take that seriously. So let's get into a little bit more of past weddings, if we can. I know you shared a little bit about other weddings, or a wedding, the chandelier. But was there anything in the past that things didn't go according to plan, and what did you learn from it? Or did you implement something in your contract from it?
I really think of, I don't have any wood here, knock on wood. I feel like we've barely had to use like plan Bs. We've gotten really lucky with that, even though that they've been lined up, all the plan Bs have been lined up. I can't think of any specific examples where we've had things like not go well.
Not since the one wedding. Since the one wedding, we plan the shit out of weddings. You know what I'm saying? Because we hate making mistakes. Who likes making mistakes? Like, especially if they're avoidable or anticipatory, we can be ready for that to happen. But I can picture there was another big wedding that was incredibly stressful that I think Amber and I, like I said, we planned the shit out of. It was one of the hardest weddings of our lives. And I think if we hadn't had the first bad wedding and we took this wedding, it would have been not good. So I think that one wedding, and it wasn't even a bad wedding, it was just we didn't meet the expectations that I think we didn't even realize were on ourselves. But now we know the expectations, and we know we don't want to make mistakes, and we want it to be really perfect for not just the clients, but for our vendor team, because we know how much we interact with them. They're like our frienders. So we'd rather have fun stories than like trauma bonding stories.
I think what we realized from those and our process moving forward on how we help with that is you can email all day long, but I like to personally, before weddings, get on the phone with every single vendor and have proper conversation, because I think that's where holes you can just have things fall through the cracks if you don't just really put in the time to talk through a wedding day and a flow and the experience. And, you can do timelines all day long and think that they're so buttoned up. But if you didn't talk to this one vendor, there was probably 6 things that they didn't think to ask you and you didn't think to ask them, but no one talked about it. So I think it's really important to just over communicate and get involved with your team to make sure that everyone has said all the things and talked through all the things, because we have more power in numbers. So the more that we're all talking and engaging, as much as we love being the boss, quote unquote, like we don't want to be the boss. We want to know that we are, the middleman between the team that is making sure all the thoughts, all the concerns, all the wishes are being checked. And if you don't do that, I think that's when things can happen. I also think that if you're not thinking through the experience from the guest side, you can also miss things. So you can plan something that feels really great logistically, and everyone's going to be there on time and we're going to be set up by this time. But what is the guest experience? What are they doing when this is happening? Are they going to be hot? Are they going to be uncomfortable? Are they going to be hungry? I think anticipating the guest experience is something that can sometimes get missed, and that can really affect the way a day flows. And so I think that's another way we really button ours up too, is thinking from the other side and not just the vendor side.
Yeah, I feel like as planners, you deal with a lot of emotions, not only from the clients, but from vendors. I know vendors are very unique and some can be very emotional. And so I could see that taking a toll, right? Like I can see, as like you were saying, you're the middleman. It does help from just thinking as a vendor perspective. And you both deal with that beautifully, because I don't know how to say this besides saying it the way it should. There's not a lot of people that can do that in the industry. And so it's important for clients to look for a good planner and know that their planner has the intention of finding an A team that also understands what it looks like in the back end of a luxury wedding, not only physically, but emotionally. When it comes to other vendors that are listening in, like, once you know that there's emotion put into the back end of a wedding, you start to appreciate a community-filled team, an A team that will come in and help each other no matter what it is, even if it's not your job, like we've been saying. And it's just really awesome having this conversation, because we don't really have conversations like this in the wedding industry, which is kind of a bummer, because I guess we all try to put on that facade that we got it, when we know we don't. Like, we can be hot messes. It's just how life is.
I showered like this when I was working every day, because truly, I mostly.
I look good for like a good 20 minutes, and then my hair is up after that, and I look like a whole crazy lady running back and forth with cameras. So, and I'm okay with that. I've come to the point where I'm like, look, it is what it is at this point. You want art? I'm going to have to look like this.
I'll start out one way, but
I think that there is an awareness now with clients that vendors are, there's a two-sided coin with vendors. Clients know now, and they probably didn't 10 years ago, but they know now that vendors have 2 goals with each wedding. And one is obviously fulfilling the contract, making the client happy, good review. That's one side. The other side, and everybody in the industry is aware of this, and clients are, I think, becoming more aware of this, is that a lot of what the vendors think about is the perfection on their gallery, and people are on to them. And that's not that I wish that would go away. I think that that is something that we need to try to like bring back to. This is, like you said, this is their one wedding, right? It might be our one wedding that Saturday, and then it's our next wedding the next Saturday, and then the next one, but for them it's their one day. And so something that I've learned, and I've actually personally had to tamp down, is the very small word but big meaning word, ego. And like I think that a lot of vendors come into this as artists, and artists always often have egos. And this particular form of art has room for ego, but there's a point where that has to be nipped in the bud. And that's what maybe we don't even have an intention to look for vendor teams that don't have ego. It just tends to be who we are drawn to, because those are the people that are collaborative. They're not wanting to like be talking to the clients the time because they think they're going to get the next thing or whatever it might be. Like, we just want it to feel a lot more like just, it's a wedding. It's just a wedding.
Yes. And you absolutely can tell those individuals apart. I don't know what it is, but like as soon as you like see them, I don't want to call it, obviously anyone can be hungry in different types of ways, but once you see that like drive of like what's the next big thing for them, you're just like, yeah, okay, well, it was nice to know you. Awesome meeting you. You know, you have to find people that just, I mean, I can say get it, but there's so many nuances inside of that word, because obviously you can get something but not execute it or do it very well. And so it's really good to hear that, you know, in the wedding industry, there are people that are just, they want to have community in terms of uplifting each other, but also coming together and creating amazing weddings together, even if it can be traumatizing or even like, you know, we're learning from it. But we also know that we have, you know, so and so in videography that they're amazing. I can work with them. You know, we work seamlessly, or a stationer who just goes above and beyond. Whatever it is, you have those people. And I understand why people do have a list of vendors. And so I think once you start to dig in a little bit more into the luxury industry, you understand that people like to call it clicks in the wedding industry. But those are the people that we trust. Like, if you get that, you would understand why. It's really hard. I mean, we're getting new people in the wedding industry every year. And like, those are the people that we have to like evolve with and change things with, but also be like, hey, there's some things to this wedding industry too. Like, I need to trust you before letting you into my business or into my world, because one false move, everything can burn down, right? As we can see with like the times of social media and TikTok. I think you guys, have you heard of the sepia bride?
I mean, like the sepia, like the tone that happened for photography during a certain time.
No.
We named ourselves just now.
I was like, maybe we should backtrack here. No, it was a bride who got married and hired a sepia photographer. I guess that's probably the best way, sepia photographer, but actually wanted true to light type of photography. And I'm bringing that up because I'm talking about how it brought all types of vendors to this discussion. And I was able to, like, just by reading the comments, to tell, oh, if you were in that wedding, you probably wouldn't be able to execute this right. Oh, if you were behind this exact wedding, I don't think you would be professional enough to reply to this email like the actual photographer did. She was really great at the reply and taking it professionally. But like, just by comments and the way things are, you can tell who a vendor will be, or an email. Literally an email. You can be like, oh, okay, I think I get this person now. And we're probably gonna have to be cautious, or we're gonna have to, you know, be more straightforward or logistical with them. And so this wedding industry is there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of differences. And it's really great when you find your people to be able to go forward and create amazing things.
Everything's evolving. Even the way that weddings are being produced, the teams are evolving. The way teams want to see a wedding evolve throughout the day even has changed. Like what Gabby was saying earlier about like the perfection and making things curated just for your gallery. Like I feel like that has started to change a lot. I do think that we pride ourselves on the fact that we're not necessarily the typical type A wedding planner. And so I think that we do pride ourselves on the fact that we will trust you on all the things to make that call and do it without feeling like we have to micromanage you, or like we're hiring you as the artist, as the photographer for a reason. And the clients liked you, we like what you're doing, you're a good fit for this wedding. And then we want you to make those decisions on what you can or can't do, or what's realistic, or what you're going to be proud of, or what you think that we don't want to direct so much that now you've lost the ability to make those decisions. And we're like that with a lot of things throughout the wedding day, so that everyone feels like they've contributed, because most people are an expert in their own field. And we're not, we know a lot about a lot of people's jobs, but I couldn't shoot a wedding. I don't know how to set a camera. I don't even know how to set the camera on my phone. So I wouldn't know how to do that. I can only give you so much direction. And then we trust you and our other vendors to run with that artistry and run with what they know is going to do best. And we like being able to say, okay, we go so far and we will be here doing all the other things, but then you own it and you take it and you run with it. And that's, I think, helps a little bit on wedding day to be able to trust the team to also own their craft.
Yeah. Yeah. And as we've been saying it, all this comes about after learning the unexpected or from challenges and understanding that things evolved and change with your business over time, or when you're working with new vendors and you're like, okay, I got to implement this in the next wedding, and like we said, it doesn't take long for you to learn quickly in a wedding. I think for weddings in general, like they can be stressful, and within high stress, you learn very quickly. Like there's not much room for a lot of error. And yeah, this conversation was amazing. Thank you, ladies. I'm so glad that we get to touch on just brand personality and just talking about you both when it comes to branding, because I love how you both positioned yourself in the industry. And thank you so much for telling us about real authentic challenges in the wedding industry. I know we all in this industry try to be perfect and do things perfectly, but let's just be honest, we are human and we also have to evolve somehow. So this conversation was so good, and thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Alicia.